So, on my last video, I told you that this is my channel and that I'm going to start to go like a little deeper with some of the concepts that I talk about on my channel. I just don't think there's enough positive information out there and enough intellect out there to help people grow in that area. And if I can get it out there on YouTube, I'm okay with it. I am obsessed with this concept. It is at minimum thought provoking, and for me, it was absolutely life changing. I think it's the kind of ideology that books are made of. And I have come by this information for a wide variety of sources. So it has become my own ideology and philosophy that is just empowering me so much. People have so many questions about behind the scenes, like what you shop, or like, yeah, what do you shop, what do you buy? But you cannot obtain those things yourself if you do not have the right concepts and ideology in play. Even when you do obtain those things, there's always another level for you to go on, so that it is important that your mind is growing. So this is a mind grow type video. I'm just going to set you up for that up front. To latch on to this ideology, there's three premises that you must accept. The title is very simple: being a woman of my time. However, there's three premises that you have to accept. Number one, you have to accept the idea, even if it's just for this conversation, right? Just for this conversation, accept these three ideas. That's what a premise is. You don't have to believe in it forever, but if you don't hold on to these ideas, you're not going to follow the conversation. So I want to make sure that makes sense. Number one premise is that there is a God. Number two is that we are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. Okay? I can make a whole video about that. But to encapsulate that, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. We are not, and that goes into the third premise, is that above all, we are spiritual first, human second. That our spiritual core is greater than our outer core, our outer atmosphere, and our outer environment, no matter what your faith is, right? Okay, so those are your premises. There is a God, and we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And we are more spirit and first spirit beyond anything. Okay, with that being said, imagine if we are spirit first, if there is a conversation or a dialogue with our creator God, and we talk to him or he speaks to us about the time in which we will come into this earth. You could have been born in any time. You could have been born in the time of Jesus Christ. You could have been born at the time of American slavery. You could have been born when Christians were crucified. You could have been born in the civil rights, or you could have been born in the time which you are now, right? And what if he only chooses the time which you come to earth, because that is the time that your spirit will learn, grow, and give back the most? For me, that was life changing. I will go a little bit to Bishop T.D. Jakes, how he talks about in the old time, it was a physical time, right? But now everything is moving to an intellectual time. Even the way that people praise and worship, like let my people go, and I once was lost, now I'm found, it was all physical strife, right? It was all this grunting and yelling. And now when you go into most worship service, it's more about an atmosphere. Come fill this place with your atmosphere. Or every little breath I breathe, God, there you are. It's more of the awareness of God in our worship and in our ministry than it is into God being a physical person that rescues us. We are also evidently in an intellectual age, because you are most likely to have a job behind a desk in front of a computer screen than you are doing something that causes you to sweat. On my job, the concept of a mental sweat came into play. There is nothing like a mental sweat. No one can prepare you for a mental sweat. That is a concept of our time. Our parents and our grandparents, and some people even living in this time, have no idea what it's like to only work their mind all day and night and call that a job. Even using this YouTube outlet and the technology behind it, that's all mental. That's all about your own creativity and what you can come up with. It's not about laying bricks and going to clock in and flipping burgers. No, it's not physical, it is mental. There's also another caveat, right? Is the idea that not only are we spiritual beings and not only are we physical beings, physical bodies, but we are also intellectual and we are also human, and that all four of those things are separately defined. So you can be well in your physical health and be mentally ill, right? You can be spiritually a Christian, but your intellectual level is not so, right? The way that you treat people or the way that you process thought is not going along with the guidelines of your faith, right? Or you can be all those things, but then your humanity of what makes you man or woman, homosexual or bisexual is in place. That's the humanity of what is actually pulling your heart. And that's outside. You can say humanity is almost like your emotional side. So there's all these different concepts and dimensions of being in our current time. Never before have people had the time to sit back and think about, what does it mean to be my gender, right? Who am I if I throw my skin color out of the window and I am who I am as an individual? Now, I mess up in that area. Last week I told my coworker, when you're black, people act like they don't understand what you're saying if you don't give them specific examples. And she was like, is that a black thing or is that just a people thing? Most people do need specific examples so that they can understand what you're saying, no matter what their nationality is. And that ding dong in my brain, because I come from a place where it is a lot about race. I come from the deep south. So in the deep south is a time that is passing before us because of the time that we live in. People will bring it up, but they themselves have not experienced it. And even if they did experience it, they know someone who left or had a better opportunity and made different choices. So, and I'm 8 minutes in already, and this is not even the crust of the video. The thing about being a woman of your time or even a man of your time is defining what is your time. Are you in the physical mentality of blood, sweat, and tears, or are you in the intellectual age? I was having a conversation with someone on the phone. It was all about communication and miscommunication, and I couldn't buy it, right? You have priorities that make you call or not call, or make you react or not react. 90%, I would say, of the inventions in the last 5 years have been to improve communication. All this technology that we have behind it, it is the communication and the person interaction, but we're losing that interaction because we're so functioned and focused on the technology portion and allowing people to see of us what we want them to see. So this is what blew my mind. If there is a God, and if I am spirit first, having a human experience, but I am spirit first, and God suggested to me, or I suggested to him, that I should come at this particular time in history. Who am I and what should I be? It made me focus on, if I am a woman of my time, question mark, period. Am I a woman of my time? And I'll go deep with you, right? I'll go personal with you. So if there's a God and we came to the conclusion that I'm a spirit and I'm going to come to earth, what time in history should I come? Now, for some reason, my mind automatically went to struggle. And I will tell you, if I was born pre-Civil War slavery, I would have been a great slave. I would not have ran from the house. My friend said she would have been Harriet Tubman. She would have been with Harriet Tubman. Not I, said the fly. I would have been there in the house doing a good job. No hope, right? However, if I was born during the Holocaust, I would not have went to the gas chamber in a group. Nope. You would have had to shoot me down in the street. There's no way you're going to put a star on me and herd me with everybody else. I definitely know wouldn't have happened. If I was born in the 1960s, I would have been a radical Black Panther. Now that I am a woman of this time and we don't have those type of struggles, what woman am I? I am a different type of woman. Now, this is where it gets really personal and it can get very touchy. Let me just tell you a little bit about me. My first job out of high school, I was hired unknowingly to replace people who were being laid off after like the 9/11 attack, the economy went down. So people were getting laid off for like the first time. Back in my parents' time in the 90s, times were good. You probably lived in the suburbs, you had a house, you had job security. There was no worry about the market coming to a crash because everything was on the up. But when I came along, everything was on the down. And then I also saw another down when the whole entire U.S. housing market burst, like the bubble burst, right? These are specific identifiable times in history that I know of or I have personally lived through. So the question is, where does that leave me today? Today, you and I can be in the same time, but be women of different times. I am a woman with no children. I am a woman with no husband. I don't know if I will ever get married. And even if I do get married, I cannot depend on him because you never know what could happen to that, right? That's just the facts of our time. So it is very important for me to make the income of two at all times, no questions asked. It is very important for me to be educated and more articulate and to show up in the environment as a woman and also as a lady, right? Because that's the time that my mind is in. My mind is like, what's next? In this current time that I live in, there is no guarantee of pension. Now, I'm thankful enough to work currently for a company that still offers pension and 401k, but a lot of us do not do so, and it's hard to come by, so you have to prepare yourself, right? More so than ever. And that's the whole thing. You can place all that into a nutshell and just say, are you a man or woman of your time? Are you able to respond or react to the changes that will inevitably come before you? Now, I could be the same woman and have a husband and children, and my husband work a physical job and I work the intellectual job, and we're straddling both of those times. We have then got to come together and recognize time is on whose side and how do we balance that, right? Or I could be a woman with children and then I have to think about what time are my children going to come up and how is that going to change and how am I going to make my life reflect so that I can still maintain myself as a woman of this time. Our generation, you watching this video, you cannot deny that you are in the intellectual age. It is important, no matter what anyone else tells you, to get some type of skill or some type of craft. It does not have to be a degree and it does not have to be a trade. You can make money off of your creativity. And that's very important for you not to be discouraged by other people who are not of your time. People who are not of your time will discourage you in ways that they did not know. But you have to have that internal fortitude that there is a God, that I am spirit more than human, right? And I was spirit first. And I am in the perfect time for that ideology to capitalize on intellect and to grow and to achieve and to impact and to make a difference in every way that those before me could not. So I could go on, and I think it's the things that books are made of. You guys or girls, let me know down below. I don't want to keep you too long. Thank you so much for watching. I've got a lot more to say on that topic. Bye.